Hey, this is Nicholas with the Backyard Tartars here with another reaction. This time we're going to do the Nintendo Direct reaction, and this is called the uh, Nintendo Switch Direct on September 9th, 2023. Uh, this has got me hyped because they're calling it the Nintendo Switch Direct. Now, that could mean that they're only talking about Switch games, but it's like they don't have a separate handheld now. So that just means we're not talking about mobile games and merchandise and theme parks and movies. Like, it's an odd way to declare it. This could be the next system. There's been some rumors, there's been some leaks. Now, what do I think we'll get? Well, first, I think if they do show off a new system, we will see a first look at the new Metroid Prime 4, which will be for that system. I'm thinking there's been a lot of rumors about a 3D Mario platformer. Not Mario, Donkey Kong. And looking at how far it's been out since Mario Odyssey, I really think that team could have been working on that. And then some like up-resed. I imagine Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom combined together in like a definitive edition for Switch 2 or whatever it is, with 4K. I could see that being a thing. Lots of stuff that could be here. I'm hoping for another little bit of Sonic Superstars, or they showed off Mario Wonder, so I really don't think there's going to be anything more than maybe a 30-second to a minute blip of Mario Wonder, because I think they did that specifically to get it out of the way of this, so that it wasn't taking up this. So this is going to be a lot of new and exciting stuff. I also don't expect a whole lot of Pokemon, just because that's another franchise that a lot of times they would break that out into its own thing, probably let the Pokemon company do it, so that it wasn't eating up a big direct. And that's what this seems like, a very big direct. I remember somebody was polling, do you think there's going to be one? And I said, no, we just did the Mario Wonder. That's the direct for the season. So this really makes me think that they're either gearing up for a new system, or they've got something, a big splash to make for us before the end of the year, or going right into next year. So with that, let's get into it. Rated pending to mature. Everything in between. Really, starting with some Splatoon. All I want from Splatoon is offline single-player story mode that does not require you to be connected to an online server. If they could give me that, then I'd be back on Splatoon. But that's what I was burned with Splatoon 2. Don't really play games online, and I hate single-player games that require you to be online. But it's a fun game. That's why, and I like the concept. Hold on. Just another bystander. Things first. Should be wearing my glasses. That's definitely a story mode. It's probably going to be another big pale DLC, or do we think this is going to be a new game? Pearl's palette. The numbers on the screen, that's different. Splatoon 3 expansion pass. Side order. See, that looked cool and interesting. But do I have to be connected online to make it work? That's my big question.
You just saw a new trailer for Wave 2 of the Splatoon 3 Expansion Pass DLC, Side Order. This brand new story is set in the Spire of Order, where you will strengthen your character's abilities as you ascend the Spire's floors.
Very
We're
RPG.
developing this single-player DLC so it can be played over and over again. It's planned to release in spring 2024, so please look forward to it. Okay, let's see our first batch of Nintendo Switch headlines.
Oh, the Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Like, not the classic Donkey Kong, but like the DS version.
Rivalry that heated up on the Game Boy Advance system.
Oh, Game Boy Advance.
On the Nintendo Switch system. With his eyes on the prize.
First one of these games I played was on the DS, though.
Mini Mario toys from the factory. And it's up to Mario to track him down. In each stage, contraptions and other challenges await. Observation and action are vital to your success. Mario needs to reach the key, but he can't quite cross the gap.
You're gonna climb up.
That monkey's tail looks a little suspicious, though, doesn't it? If Mario does this, now he can get across.
Interesting. Like how Diddy Kong's now made it into it.
Platform too high? Reach it with a handstand jump or a backflip. Like that.
More traditional Mario movement. And levels.
Observe and act to collect mini Marios, clear stages, and face Donkey Kong head on. In this updated version of the game, you can play with a friend in local co-op. However you choose to puzzle your way through, it's up to you.
I like that Donkey Kong is now a hero, but he still can be a rival to Mario.
Versus Donkey Kong launches on Nintendo Switch February 16th. Pre-orders begin today on Nintendo eShop. Save the prince and the world.
Prince of Persia? Prince of Persia.
Guide Sargon as he sets off to save the Prince of Persia and restore the world's balance. Tapping into the roots of the Prince of Persia series, this game features 2D, side-scrolling action-adventure gameplay. Dash through breathtaking environments in a mythological, Persian-inspired world. But don't linger too long if you hope to survive. Harness sword and bow techniques, as well as time powers, to best these hostile lands. As your journey progresses, Sargon will grow stronger and learn new abilities that expand his arsenal. Equip amulets to further boost your abilities, among other perks.
I've heard a lot of good things about this. A lot of people are excited of this, going back to
Use everything at your disposal
the
to
Saturn
navigate this
roots.
harsh world and defeat the mythical beasts that stand in your way. Get ready to save the prince and discover the mysteries of Mount Calf. When Prince of Persia,
All the PlayStation kids are like, oh no, it's supposed to be a 3D game.
January 18th.
They don't remember.
You can receive
I
the
don't know.
Warrior Within outfit by pre-ordering the game
It
from
was
Nintendo eShop.
a hugely successful side-scroller first.
These games will help you chase your passions. Rev up for true arcade racing in Horizon Chase 2. Speed through stunning
I am
environments.
slowly becoming less confident in the Switch 2. I don't think that they would have started with these.
Play the main campaign to unlock
I think this is
vehicles,
just like the next
horses,
wave of
and
Switch
more.
games.
You can also upgrade your vehicle and
Which is cool.
style it to fit your high-octane needs. Itching for more racing action? Up to 4 speedsters.
I
can
probably should
race
play
the
one of
pedal
these
to the metal
games. There's
in
been
couch
some
co-op or online.
old classic arcade style
In Horizon Chase 2, launching on
games on
Nintendo
Switch, racing
players
games, and I haven't really played any of them.
warm
But
up for
that's one of the
musical
things that I've
in this
missed with
rhythm-based
racing games,
adventure.
so I need to try some of them.
Presses with the music to solve puzzles and battle bosses. Over 30 thrilling tracks await, including music from iconic Konami games. Up to 4 friends.
Because
can
I'm
battle
tired of
it out
all
in
these
versus
realistic sim
or
racers.
jam together in local
Not my
or
thing.
online play. Super Crazy Rhythm Castle Castle launches on Nintendo Switch November 14th.
Nice beat.
Pre-orders begin today on
Something
Nintendo
you want
eShop.
a rhythm game.
Anya Forger has a new assignment from school, creating a photo diary. On weekdays, you'll head to class, then enjoy family time in the evenings. On days off, you can visit all sorts of exciting
Cute art
places,
style.
like the beach or an art museum, in search of subjects to photograph. How will you spend your time with friends and family? And what kind of photo diary will you help Anya make? Spy Anya, Operation Memories, launches on Nintendo Switch next year.
This seems very
Mario's
indie.
first RPG adventure returns.
Probably is.
The Super Mario RPG game is back with
This looks
updated
cool.
graphics. Let's go over some new
I'm
and
excited
returning
for this.
gameplay features. Time your
I never had this for the Super
action
Nintendo.
to increase damage dealt.
It's a game I've wanted to go back, but I've been waiting for this version to
When you
come
time
out.
your attacks perfectly, you can now damage all enemies at once. Every successful action command will fill this gauge. When it's full, you can unleash the 3-character triple move. Depending on your current party, the move will change, so experiment with different combos. During your adventure, you'll encounter bosses with colorful personalities. After clearing the game, you can fight some of them again. But these powered-up bosses aren't gonna be easy. Set off for adventure with Mario and Friends when Super Mario RPG launches on the Nintendo Switch system November 17th. Pre-orders
Coming
are
up.
available
It's
now
coming up.
on Nintendo eShop.
Hey. Look alive. We're almost there.
The Nintendo DS game Trace Memory returns on the Nintendo Switch system as another code to memories. One day, a young girl named Ashley receives a letter from the father she thought had passed away. Seeking answers, she sets off for the solitary Blood Edward Island in search of him. Once there, Ashley encounters puzzles and obstacles that hinder her investigation.
It's almost like that, anime look that everybody complains about, but yet not.
Can you see me?
She also meets a mysterious boy. What truths await Ashley in this place?
And no matter how hard I try, I can't remember Dad's face. Who are you?
The sequel, Another Code R, Journey into Lost Memories, previously unreleased in North America, is also included.
So this is like Juliet, huh?
Play both games to experience the full story. Unravel both
Looks very
adventures,
pretty, very
fully
artistic.
enhanced for Nintendo Switch when Another Code Recollection launches
Also
January
looks like
19th.
something that is an indie game.
Pre-orders
And
begin today.
I'm noticing that Nintendo is not introducing indie games as indie games,
Another code
because
recollection.
these little indie studios are starting to get legitimate recognition.
Which was never
They're not
released
indie
in
anymore.
America. Both games
They're
are fully enhanced on
they're now
Nintendo
game
Switch.
developers.
Please look forward to playing them early next year. Next, please take a look at this.
One day,
What?
a loyal toad presented a flyer advertising a show at the Sparkle Theater. Princess Peach and some toads went to go see it, but then the Wicked Grape and the Sour Bunch suddenly made their grand entrance and took center stage. Now it's up to Peach and the theater's guardian Stella to save the play and the
I
day.
can't.
This perfect performance has become a terrible tragedy.
I'm gonna edit this so you won't
Luckily, Peach can use the power
see this
of Stella's
difficulty,
ribbon
but
to face off against the Sour Bunch.
my tablet.
The ribbon alone won't always cut it, though. So let's do this.
There we go.
Whoa! Peach transformed into Sword Fighter Peach. By transforming, she can use fantastic
there.
show-stopping
That was
abilities. Fend off the Sour Bunch
a
with
little
sensational
technical
sword
difficulty
play.
on my part. Hopefully, I'm able to figure out how to match this up and stay in sync.
And its performers? There are more
All of a sudden,
stolen
like the
shows to
image
save.
froze. I could still hear it.
Valuable artifacts from this museum have gone missing. Become Detective Peach, investigate clues, and track down who done it. Desserts have been snatched from this sweets festival. Turn into Patissiere Peach and save it from a sugar crash. The Sour Bunch got their hands on
This is cool. They're doing something completely original with it.
And take it back from these foul fiends. Many other
Much better than her first game where it was all about emotions. They're having fun with this.
Princess Peach, Showtime. Makes its
My daughter's
debut
gonna
on
love this
Nintendo
game.
Switch, March 22nd. Pre-orders begin today on Nintendo eShop.
That was a new look at Princess Peach Showtime. In Peach's latest adventure, the gameplay changes depending on her transformations. It looks like there are more transformations beyond the ones we showed today, so please stay tuned. Let's continue with some more headlines.
A new saga begins. A multi-layered RPG full of rich stories awaits in Saga Emerald Beyond. There are 6 heroes to choose from. A young man who fights with sentient puppets. A witch disguised as a schoolgirl to mask her identity. A crime-fighting duo chasing down a mysterious organization. A songstress mech who lost her voice and body. And a king of darkness who was recently
Yeah, I'm
reawakened.
not interested in this.
Select a hero
Not my
and
thing.
follow their journey through 17 interconnected worlds.
But the
as they
shell-shaded
strive to achieve their goals.
look and not making it like the
How
blank.
the story unfolds is in your hands.
It's got good
Choices you
art.
make can unlock different paths, more than ever before seen in the Saga franchise. Fight in timeline battles, turn-based combat in which turn order is crucial to victory. Use special techniques to control the order of actions, or activate team combos to swing the tide of battle in your favor. Saga Emerald Beyond launches on Nintendo Switch next year. The legendary Raider returns. The first 3 Tomb Raider games, all with upgraded visuals, are venturing onto Nintendo
When I was
Switch
younger and I had
in the
unlimited
Legendary
time,
Collection.
I loved
As
the
fierce
strategy of something like that.
archaeologist Lara Croft, you'll travel the world and face off against deadly foes and even deadlier legends. Climb, backflip, and swan dive through perilous quests spanning different
That's cool.
countries and mythologies. Along the way, you'll solve puzzles to uncover treasures of the ancient world and unravel mysteries lost to the ravages of time. This faithfully remastered trilogy comes with all of the expansions
I like how it's,
and
like,
secret levels for each game. You can
upgraded,
also
but it
top
still
it with
doesn't
the
look
original
modern.
polygon look and the upgraded visuals at any time. Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered.
It's basically
starring Lara
making it
Croft,
look how we
launches on the
remember
Nintendo
it
Switch system, February 14th.
in our mind.
Pre-orders begin today on Nintendo eShop.
You know, so it still looks like an old.
This detective's got a second bolt of brilliance.
There was a collection of this too. I'm wondering if that's like the,
Every great detective
like
starts their
from like the PS3 or something.
This is Rhyme City, a place where humans and Pokemon coexist. The detective duo of Pikachu
I'm
and his partner Tim.
just all my predictions have been wrong so far. We are getting some Pokemon, but it's
while
Detective
searching for
Pikachu.
Harry, Tim's missing father. Tim
We saw
introduced
this earlier.
Pikachu
This
Introduce
is going to be
Pokemon,
cool.
and they find the truth together.
But it's yet a new voice, not the voice of
Rely on
Detective
Pokemon
Pikachu from
to
before, and not the
scope
voice
their
from the movie.
investigations. Follow Sense with Growlithe. Smash Rocks with Darmanitan. And peer through walls with Luxray. Can Tim and Pikachu solve all the mysteries and find Harry?
Growlithe's a good boy.
Find out when Detective Pikachu returns. Launches on Nintendo Switch October 6th. Pre-orders are available now on Nintendo eShop. This game's a real toot.
I'm playing through that with my daughter. She's gonna love that. She loves Pokemon,
Trombone Champ.
but
Play the notes in time with the music as best you can.
nobody had this on their bingo card. Oh, come on. They brought Wii Music back? This was like,
Use gyro controls to adjust the pitch up and down.
is this made by Nintendo or another company? Because Wii Music was like a huge failure for Nintendo. Like a huge failure. I had fun with it
And mastering
for a couple of days
won't be a walk in the park.
and then never played it again.
Honk your way through nearly 50 songs.
It was just
in various
too
genres, from classical to electronica, and
simplistic,
everything
but
in between. Plus, up to 4 musicians can band together in local multiplayer.
and that looks like a me.
Trombone Champ slides onto Nintendo
Who's
Switch
making this? Is
later.
this Nintendo?
Battle your way to victory in these Nintendo Switch games. 10 teams of 3 will duke it out for survival in this online battle royale brawler.
No one expected that.
Down to 0 and deliver a finishing
Any
blow,
way to victory.
or shove them off the collapsing terrain to win. Choose from 15 heroes, each inspired by a different mythology.
So like League of
Work with your
Legends.
allies to be the last team standing. Battle Crush is free to play and launches first for consoles on Nintendo Switch.
Now will this have
Next
be full of
spring.
microtransactions like the
Available this October.
Pokemon one?
Lead your mercenaries to fame and fortune in this open-world tactical RPG. Take up various contracts from protecting townsfolk.
Yep, no interest, free to play.
The land's most notorious
I'm just so tired of that model.
Equip your mercenaries with the best gear and skills to claim victory and live to see another day. Up to 4 players online can jointly command a troop and journey together across this vast world. War Tales launches as a timed console exclusive on Nintendo Switch later today. Run and gun in this reimagining of the beloved NES classic, Contra. Blast through explosive stages with a devastating arsenal of weapons to crush the Red Falcon forces. Spring into action with easy pick-up and play controls and a variety of
Contra.
difficulty options. This reimagining from Konami and Way Forward features new weapons,
Oh
enemies,
wow, new art.
powerful super attacks, and a 4-player co-op mode. Contra Operation Galuga storms onto the Nintendo Switch system early next year.
Konami's slowly coming back.
Liberate your
See, they're doing it right though. They're not doing super ambitious things. They're just playing on the nostalgia
which speaks of everything
and just kind of creating stuff people want.
and stubborn nations. Yet as the world stands consumed by immense evil, a fallen prince shall rise again, ring of legend lighting his path.
That is the ring of the unicorn, ancestral treasure of Cormia's royal lineage.
The fact that Konami's doing that, does that mean that Pachinko is not doing well?
Holding it to purify evil.
I wonder.
Yet the answer is clear as day now. The path before us is laid bare, and all that remains now is to walk it. Walk it I will, Mother.
Okay, this kind of looks like a tactics game.
Gather new allies.
It just seems like a lot of the last couple of Nintendo Directs are full of a ton of tactic and
Grand army with over 60 unique characters, from humans
RPGs.
to massive
when it comes to like making a really big, ambitious game for a small studio, doing one of these Super Nintendo style tactic or RPG type game really is, okay, it's by Atlas. So it's not okay. So now that Atlas is part of Sega, but this, like, one of the things Atlas used to do was to bring games that they didn't make over to the West. So I'm assuming that's what that is. That's like a game made in another country.
Welcome to Evershade Valley, a place that
Because it was like that company and Atlas. So I think Atlas is like porting it.
Luigi, our
More Luigi Mansion?
was sent here to check it out. Time for some mansion mayhem.
Yeah.
No spooky adventures.
They're going to have every version
Vacuum-like device.
of this available on the Switch.
Use it to light up dark areas, vacuum up objects, and interact.
We're getting this. Why aren't we getting,
It's a handy tool for your paranormal escapades. Plus, when you spot a
HD
ghost,
versions of Sunshine, of
you can stun them with
Mario
a stun
Kart
ball,
Double Dash?
then vacuum them
Why
up.
aren't they putting like
You can
porting
even
like
grab multiple ghosts at
Melee,
once.
a Super Smash Bros. Melee and Double Dash and stuff like that?
In this game, you'll find ghosts haunting, a former plant research lab, a broken down clock factory that's full of sand, a mine covered in ice and snow, and even more places.
Just make the Switch the definitive, and then make a Switch 2 that's completely backwards compatible, and it just slowly make it the gaming system that has everything Nintendo ever made.
Looking for other ghost hunters? Up to 4
Figure out a way to
online can do
port
some
3DS
exercise
games.
across different multiplayer modes.
Start doing some GameCube and Wii games in HD.
Nintendo Switch next summer.
Finally port that Wii U Star Fox game over to it.
Next, we have two announcements to share. First,
And it'll be the only Nintendo system you have to own. These are going to be the big things.
it's a
Two
large
announcements.
question block. Actually,
Something
question
Mario.
block currently appears on the roof of the previously announced
I already
Nintendo
showed
Gallery
Mario plus
that's under
Donkey Kong.
construction in Uji City,
The big
Kyoto
question
Prefecture.
box.
The official name of this gallery will be the Nintendo Museum. At the Nintendo Museum, a wide variety of Nintendo products from the company's history will be displayed. Construction is going well, and we plan to finish up by March 2024.
This was the Switch Direct.
We'll share more information, such as
It was
the
cool, but
at another time. Please stay tuned. Next, we'd like to share some updates on upcoming Amiibo figures. The Zelda and Ganondorf Amiibo figures are releasing on November 3rd. And Amiibo figures of Noah and Mio from the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 game will be released as a set on January 19th, 2024.
that's the other thing.
And finally, we have a new Amiibo figure to announce. The DLC fighter from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Sora from Kingdom Hearts, is on the way. With the
Man, these
release
are
of
so
Sora,
far
everything
behind.
is here from Super
Game came
Smash
out a while
Bros.
ago.
Ultimate in Amiibo form. Please look forward to its release next year. That's all for today's Amiibo announcements. Next,
I didn't know that wasn't already a thing. Like, that's cool. That'd be one worth having. Oh,
The first F-Zero game
okay.
returns as a 99-player battle royale. F-Zero.
F-Zero?
Race on classic F-Zero
Super
courses
Nintendo
shaped
episode,
from
like,
the
which...
original Super NES game. Tear through courses in high-speed races.
Whoa!
Be careful. Your power meter will decrease if you crash into pilots or guardrails. If it hits zero,
Oh, man. An
You'll need to avoid
F-Zero
collisions
Battle
and
Royale.
power meter to stay in the race.
You know, they said that unless they could do something better, they didn't want to bring these properties back.
Power meter for a temporary
This is unique. This is something new.
You can also collect super sparks, which appear when machines collide, to boost up to a special path called the Skyway.
Is this going to be part of the Nintendo Switch Online?
Bypassing your rivals,
Stuff like this
into a higher position.
makes Nintendo Switch Online well worth it.
Complete goals while you're racing to unlock cosmetic
The
options for your
sounds.
machine.
Hmm.
99 players, one winner. It's time to race your way to first
Interesting.
place. Because F-Zero 99 will be available exclusively for active Nintendo Switch Online members later today.
This was one of the first games I got for the Super Nintendo.
Its original
I
release,
I just love this game.
Battle Royale game.
It's one of my favorite racing games of all time. And it's on the Super Nintendo.
Exclusively for Nintendo Switch Online members. We hope you will give it a try and aim for first place.
And then next we announce
More headlines.
F-Zero GT Remaster.
One little hero, one humongous problem. Welcome to Vandal City, a whimsical land inhabited by small fuzzy beings called Yordles. After a party gets a
Okay, I was starting to feel a little disappointed with that. Brought it up. And there's still quite a bit of this left.
You and your knitting magic to stitch Vandal City back together. Journey across the land to gather materials and craft items and meals for the locals. As you continue gathering and crafting, you can weave together new upgrades by unlocking more branches of the skill tree. Enchant your experience even further by embarking on quests and hosting festivals for the community. Can you save Vandal City? And what mysteries will you discover during your magical adventure? Vandal Tale, a League of Legends story, launches on Nintendo Switch next year. Wait, did you hear that? Join best friends, Nunu and Willem, on a journey across the frozen wilds of the Freljord. Jump, climb,
League of Legends story. Interesting.
and sled your way
Sorry, I
through
kind of
a
phased out there a
rocky
little
and
bit.
treacherous land, where every step taken and each puzzle solved will bring you closer to the truth about these friends and their past.
You know,
Nunu, a League of Legends story,
a lot of this stuff
launches
isn't
on
for
the
me.
Nintendo Switch system November 1st. Pre-orders begin today
But-
on Nintendo eShop.
I just have to say, the Switch is where creativity is.
Formation.
Like, Sony has the market on, like, the big AAA franchises. Like, Microsoft has a few, but they're not putting out games. Sony's putting out, like, your Uncharted's, your God of War, your... And Nintendo does that too. They have their big top-tier franchises. But it just feels like the Nintendo, at least maybe because they highlight it more, is where, like, so much of this creative stuff is happening. And it just, it's amazing. It's just, even if it's not my kind of thing, like, it just seems the go-to machine because people have permission to have less powerful. It doesn't have to be a giant conglomerate company with 500 people making a game. You can make simple games and people accept it on the Switch. So that brings back fun and creativity like we had back in the 16-bit era that seems to be lost. Like we had it then, we had a little bit when it went to 3D, and then it got lost. Sometime after like the Dreamcast, PS2, GameCube, Xbox era, like once they went to PS3, actually, like some of that just seemed to go to just franchises and sequels. As you can tell, I don't care anything about Wario. I don't really like Wario as a character, and the Wario games have never been fun to me. But it's cool. That's a big franchise. I know people are going to be excited about that.
And Marissa, a forest guardian.
Another tactics game.
Together to fight for a common
It
goal.
does seem like they just stack these directs full of these things.
Variety of heroes who
But once again, I think it's just the ease of making a significant, impressive game for a small studio.
Additional facilities will become available.
And the artwork that goes into these, it's always beautiful. I love pixel artwork. So I love when they have like the 3D cutscenes or overmap, but then they
They may not always get
go in and show that
These
artwork.
conflicts may strengthen the bond
It's just
between your
amazing.
heroes. Trust, betrayal, justice, and
Now, is this like a remaster? Because they go to pixel art and then they go to the other artwork.
Chronicle 100 Heroes launches on
And then you
Nintendo
see this,
Switch
like, is this just a
April
cutscene?
23rd. Participate in some pixel perfect play. Next stop, Octopia. Travel to a charming parallel world in this
I don't know.
DLC from
That's
Eastward.
interesting. So many different art styles. Or is that part of the story of the game?
As they adjust to
They're talking
country
over it.
life
Did I
in a
miss it?
mountainside village. Tend to livestock. Whip up culinary delights for
Autopia?
your neighbors.
I thought we already had
And
Splatoon.
restore buildings to help the village thrive. And if you're new to Eastward, don't worry. You can access the DLC
Another
even
Harvest
if you haven't
Moon
played the main
clone?
story. Eastward, Octopia.
Those are
Ventures
relaxing
onto
games.
Nintendo Switch this holiday. Get back into the groove. In this sequel to War Groove, charge across 3 tactical campaigns with valiant factions, including a new Mousefolk faction, the Fari.
Interesting.
Plus, you can now supercharge your commander's groove to unleash devastating attacks. Lead a roguelike offensive in conquest mode. Battle friends locally or online. Or create and share your own cutscenes and campaigns. War Groove 2 marches onto Nintendo Switch as a console exclusive October 5th. Get out of my way! Pre-orders begin today on Nintendo eShop. Dive and catch fish by day. Then serve them as sushi by night in the aquatic adventure Dave the Diver. Use the fish you've caught to concoct recipes and create
Giant
the day's
blue?
menu. Then tend to the clamoring customers at your sushi restaurant. Explore an ever-changing underwater world to find the
See,
best
another
ingredients
like
and
little
strive
indie game,
to
like the
exceed
creativeness
very
of this.
expectations.
You just don't see this elsewhere, at least not highlighted.
Consoles on the Nintendo
The
system
Switch just
October
abounds
26th.
with this stuff.
Pre-orders and a free demo swim onto Nintendo eShop later today. The final wave is racing in. Here's a sneak peek at Wave 6, the final wave of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC. From the Mario Kart Wii
See,
game,
first for consoles,
Daisy
so
Circuit.
it's gonna be on the others,
Returning
but
characters are also being added in
Switch
Wave
is where it's
6.
gonna do the
From
best.
The Mario Kart Double Dash game, Diddy Kong. From Mario Kart Wii, Funky
Ooh, a
Kong.
lot of writing on this. Sonic and Crash.
And
No,
from
they
the
won't do
Mario
that.
Kart Tour game, Pauline.
Okay, yep.
And also, Key Jet.
Okay. A lot of Donkey. See, give me a 3D.
Wave 6 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe game drives onto Nintendo Switch this holiday. Active Nintendo Switch
That's kind of a
Online Plus
non-character.
expansion pack members can enjoy this DLC at no additional cost. The DLC can
But the
also be
Donkey
purchased on
Kongs
Nintendo.
and Pauline, a lot of Donkey Kong love in this. So let's end it with a bang and make my 3D Donkey Kong thing like the ending thing. This isn't already on Switch? Was it like Among Us Island? Introducing a new map.
Among Us is free and launches this October.
What did you think? Thanks for sticking with us this far.
The fungal.
Next up, we'd like to recap
Interesting.
some of the previously announced Nintendo titles you can look forward to playing from September onwards. Let's take a look.
What do we have? We still have about 4 minutes left. Montage. And then one more thing. Because some of this is from this and some is from previous stuff. Mario Kart's still going.
We hope you're looking forward to these upcoming titles. This next video will be our last announcement.
New Peach.
Please take a look.
Okay. There's a lot of stuff they covered. Okay, this is the big one. Go Donkey Kong or Metroid. Donkey Kong or Metroid. Come on, Donkey Kong or Metroid. Looks like it's Mario or Kirby. No, Mario. A new Paper Mario? Check it out. A letter from Princess Peach. Is Paper Mario coming? For a second there, I thought that we were going to get another Smash character and it was going to be Paper Mario. Wait, you said Thousand Year Door. Is this a port? It was like the little... Never played a Paper Mario game. And right around the time I was like thinking about it, reviews were like, "Ah, this one stinks. Not as good as the originals." And it's every time like it's like, "Oh, it's not as good as the first two." They just seem very creative in all the mechanics and gameplay and stuff they do. I love that they do stuff this, like the yarn and paper and yeah, just all cool stuff. The Thousand Year Door. Okay, so support.
Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, originally released on Nintendo GameCube, will return with enhanced graphics. Whether you played the original or have yet to play it, we
2024
hope you'll look forward to
new Paper Mario
experiencing this
game?
adventure in a paper world
A
starring
sequel?
Mario and friends.
Or is that part of it?
That's all for today's Nintendo Direct. Thank you for watching.
So I believe this is the second game that was like the pinnacle of it, and then they like fell off from here. That's a big one to go out on. That is. Okay. Well, I actually have to get to a job, so cut to future me that's going to actually give his thoughts about this direct. Okay, it has been a long day. It's night now, and I've been listening to a lot of other podcasts, watching reactions on my break to this Nintendo Direct, and I just kind of mulling over what I said. So I'm going to talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, and give the overall thing a grade. So let's get the biggest positives right out the door. F-Zero 99, it's fun. I've played it. It's just greatness, and I really hope that, maybe some remasters of GX and stuff and X could be on the pipeline, as we did see some GameCube games getting ported over, and I'm really hoping that if a lot of people are playing this, and it holds their interest, it isn't like a couple of days the servers were busy and then it dropped off. But if people keep showing we like F-Zero, Nintendo's gonna go, this is a brand that could use some more games. With that in mind, Star Fox 99 when? Huh? Big, open plane shooter battle. I don't know how you do it, but anything to breathe life into that franchise, much welcomed. But yeah, that has to be from me. That was kind of dead center in the middle of the direct. It was a very long direct. That was the hypest moment for me, and I think that was really good. Going after that, something that I think was really good was the Princess Peach. We got teased that there was going to be a Princess Peach game, but we didn't know anything about it. And I think going through and doing all the costuming, it's funny because the direct ends with Thousand Year Door, which is one of their Paper Mario games. And we've had like the Kirby and Yoshi Yarn games. We've had the Yoshi's Crafted World. We've seen like these kind of different paper mache, different crafty games, and this feels kind of artsy and fun like that. Like it's a stage, it's a show, and she's morphing into these different ones, but there's like props on the stage and stuff that she's using, and she can be a ninja and a sword fighter and pastry chef and all these different things that she could be, figure skater this moment, this, that, next moment. And I just think that this is such a great game compared to, although I wouldn't say that the game played bad or was bad, but it is saying something when the first, Mario game led by Peach was about kind of like her emotions. And when they played it out and did it, it's like, it is easy to look at that and it's like, oh, this is like her PMSing and this is, it was really weird, like how her powers were connected to her emotions, kind of thing, and it just being like, well, she's the emotional woman. It was a weird kind of thing, but it was a quirky and interesting game. But this, I feel like, is much better, and it's definitely, I have a feeling that Nintendo, they got a theme park now, and they're realizing they're setting themselves up to go up against the Disney princesses. Hey, these businesses see there's blood in the water. Disney's not doing well right now, and Princess Peach is over there like she's been the hero. She was a big hit in the movie, and it's like, hey, let's make her the star of the game. Let's make sure that if we have something coming out of this, is that Nintendo has wanted the young girl female market, and admittedly, I think they have more of it than Sega does. But, making Princess Peach go after that Elsa, Cinderella, Belle, Snow White, like go after that demographic. Bring them in, have something that's artsy and fun and, girlish, but all, at the same time, it's platforming enough that guys are going to have fun, let's say, maybe not young boys. This is not probably the Mario game that young boys are going to go for, but long stay Mario fans, that are guys like me in their 30s or whatever, they're going to go, this is actually something fun and innovative being done with the Mario brand, and they're going to be playing it. Let's face it. But I think that it just looked fun, and it looked like something that I'm going to enjoy playing with my daughter, which a lot of stuff, if I'm not playing something retro, it is because it's something that I want to play with my daughter. That's a big thing. Other big things. The final I was really surprised. So the Mario Kart 8 Final Wave, really surprised about the Toadette, or Peachette, I should say, which is Toadette, which he eats. That's where the whole Bowsette meme came from. And in fact, the Bowsette meme was something Nintendo didn't like, and it got so big that the idea to me that Nintendo would ever acknowledge the existence of that again shocked me. And making them, like, the fact that they put it in Mario Kart totally shocked me. But Diddy Kong in Mario Kart is something, it's just been sorely missing. It needed to be there. I mean, the guy had his own, Diddy Kong Racing. Like, he had his own game. And so the fact that they weren't putting him in Mario Kart, it just seemed wrong. Funky Kong's there too, that's cool. But Diddy Kong is the one, like, that felt like when you start having, like, so many of the, like, oh, it's Shy Guy is now playable. But not Diddy Kong? That's, yeah, what? What are we doing here? So it was good to see that was rectified and fixed. There were some remasters and re-releases that I looked for. The Tomb Raider one, that was interesting. I haven't had a chance to do research into that. That actually kind of looked, because when they showed, like, oh, here's the updated graphics, it wasn't like, oh, here is a 2023 game. No, it looked kind of like a 2008, 10 type game. And so I was thinking back, and when they had the 10-year anniversary, I think, like on PS3 or something, they had like an anniversary collection or remaster of the game. So I'm wondering if it's that remaster and brought up. So if they're basically taking that collection and bringing it up to 4K, or, well, in the case of Switch, to 1080p. But it's still like the newer graphics are still like the PS3 generation, even though these are like PS1 games, PS1 and PS2 games. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm not positive about that, but that's what I'm thinking. Anyways, it is a return back to what Tomb Raider was. They rebooted Tomb Raider. Basically, they were trying to go a different direction with Nathan Drake and all the Uncharted stuff. There was this thing, I feel like the gaming industry had a big stick up, and they thought, no, those are too silly, too goofy. Gaming has matured too much. We need this. And from what I understand, those were phenomenal games in a lot of respects. But Tomb Raider was about puzzles and loot. I mean, she was a mix between Indiana Jones and Bond. That's what Tomb Raider was. She was like, take those two characters, mash them together, and have her dual-wield pistols and fight a T-Rex. That is what Tomb Raider was. And, there was this big thing about when they did the new character, shrinking her bust size. And it was blocky. It was not, but there was something iconic about her image, about, being fun-loving and just looking great while doing it and doing all that I kind of glad that they brought that, because that was almost to mascot status. And as games have gotten more realistic, that look was kind of like, but there was something fun about that. Sorry. Contra getting remastered by WayForward. And I love WayForward's games. They do such an amazing job. So when I see a game and I see it's made by WayForward, like that just looks fun. Like, all this like attempts to make Contra a 3D shooter game. Contra is one of those games that, as a 2D shooter, it interests me. The moment I see anything Contra in 3D, I just kind of go, bleh. So this looked great. I'm excited for this. This is definitely something I want to play. Updates on some previously announced stuff. The Mario RPG, they were showing off a little bit more of that. The more and more I see of that, I never played the Mario RPG game, but it looks good, and it looks like there's some quality of life. It's not just a graphical upgrade. There's some quality of life changes being made to the game to which I'm hoping will make it a little bit more friendly to my time. Not that it was a real long RPG, but it's just one of those things that, sorry, hopefully that didn't mess up the sound there. But it's one of the things that I'm looking forward to that game a lot. That has a real unique style, and it's added things to the Mario universe. And it's just kind of, but it's known for having a great story, which is not something I associate very much with Mario. Like, I'm really involved in the Sonic the Hedgehog stories. Probably too much, more than Sonic Team would actually care me to examine and look at the Sonic the Hedgehog lore. But Mario has always felt much more simplistic, which is interesting because one of the things that made Mario different was back in the day when it was Donkey Kong, there was like a story, a reason to why he was doing this, and they got kidnapped with that. And that was something kind of new in the video game industry, like seeing her get kidnapped and the monkey take it to the top and stuff like that. Like, that wasn't something that video games did back then in the arcade. It was just kind of like here, it's Space Invaders and you're just, it's Pac-Man and you're going around. It wasn't really about the story of the game. And Miyamoto talks about that. When you think of how light that story is, but he talks about how much he wanted to give games a story. And now when you look back at it, it's like Mario's really light on the story. Very basic. And I've heard people, I don't want any spoilers. The spoilers? The princess is in another castle until the end of the game. Once you're finally at the right castle, you fight Bowser, you get the princess back. Every Mario game, for the most part. And some unique gimmick that makes each one different. I'm looking forward to that. Another thing that we're seeing more of Detective Pikachu. Really looking forward to Detective Pikachu. That's another game that I really want to play through with my daughter. Once again, I said this last time we did a reaction to something with Detective Pikachu Returns or whatever it is. It's yet a third voice actor. So we have one voice actor for the first game. Ryan Reynolds did it in the movie. And I think it was Danny DeVito the first time. And all I can assume is that because he's an actual actor, he was somehow offended that he didn't get put in the movie and was unwilling to do the next game or something. Or maybe there's some reason why he can't, why they couldn't get Ryan Reynolds. Maybe he cost too much money. I don't know. But I just find that funny that now 3 people will have voiced Detective Pikachu. And they're all completely different voices. No one's trying to do a caricature of the other. So, but this just looks fun. Looks fun, something to do with her. Let's see, what else did we have? We had Splatoon. Splatoon was something that looked kind of good, kind of interesting. I was really burned by Splatoon 2, so I'm very wary of getting Splatoon 3. And when I say burned, I just mean that, like, I got that early on. I played it, I kind of fell off, then I finally got the DLC and stuff right around the time that Splatoon 3 was being announced. And I tried to play through the DLC, and server support got really bad when Splatoon 3 came out. Nobody was playing in the multiplayer, and no matter what, you had to be online to play any of the modes. That killed it for me. I don't like games like that. But this looked really intriguing, so there's that. Next thing, there was that like castle something rhythm game that looked really interesting. I liked the way it went. There was the arcade. It was like a Horizon game. It was kind of an arcade racer. There's been a couple of games like that on the Switch, and every time I look at it and I go, man, I should get that. That looks fun. I miss Daytona. Basically, I miss Daytona. I want another Daytona. And then I never do. But it's a reminder that I need to get a game like that on the Switch, because I like those kind of games. And I wish that Sega was still making those kind of games. And maybe if these other games were doing better, maybe Sega would. But anyways, the thing that nobody I think had on there was like a sequel to Wii Music, when we had that trombone game or whatever, that looked awful. Like, I'm one of the few people that had Wii Music and was like, this is kind of fun. This is fun, right? Like, everybody, this is fun. Why is everybody saying this is awful? This is fun. And it was fun for like 2 weeks, and I got bored of playing with it. It's one of those things, like, if I dusted it off and played it with my daughter, it'd probably be a blast for an afternoon. And then she'd beg me to play it again, and I'd be like, no, I don't want to do that. So therefore, I don't ever introduce her to it. But, like, that just sounded awful. That is them pre-recording a game, and, like, the guy was, like, missing all the notes, and it just sounded awful. That is a horrible way to sell that game. So yeah, no interest there. Other than Thousand Year Doors, I'm not a big Paper Mario guy, but I've never played any of the Paper Mario games, but that looked very fun, very creative. Once again, something that I can introduce my daughter to some RPGs with. I think it would be fun. Mario vs. Donkey Kong. That game, I never actually owned the Game Boy Advance version. I owned the first one that was on DS. I loved that game. Loved that game. It was phenomenal. So I am all about seeing some more of that. And I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. So those were all positives. If we were to get onto the negative side, there was a lot of RPGs, specifically like Fire Emblem looking clones, tactic games, and so like tactic RPGs and standard JRPGs, but all kind of like most of them looked like D&D or Fire Emblem type, and I think a lot of them were indie, some of them were remasters of old games, but there was just a lot of them. And so it felt like you had 40 minutes of direct, but at least a good 10 to 15 minutes of that was dedicated to RPG / tactic games of all very similar art styles. And so to me, it felt like you had like this momentum. There was nothing, F-Zero and Thousand Year Door were obviously their two big ones, but like there was nothing that was like announcing something out of the blue, new 3D Donkey Kong game, new, actual F-Zero game, new Star Fox, new whatever. There was just a lot of like, ooh, that's like a B+ game or an A-, but there was no like, oh my, this is like an A+, like get out of your seat and go, what? Except for like just the fact that they were doing anything with F-Zero was kind of that. But there was no uber excitement with that. And then you pad it with so many of those. And if you're somebody who's not into those games, they all look the same. The other thing I would say is this was a bit Mario heavy. Let's count how many games we had here that were Mario. Thousand Year Door, Mario RPG, the Princess Peach game. We had a WarioWare game. We had a Luigi's Mansion game. We had the Mario Kart DLC. We had a Mario vs. Donkey Kong game. And in that running clip, we saw a little bit more Mario Wonder in there. So that's 8. That's 8 Mario games, or in the Mario franchise games in one direct. Think about that. Think about how much Mario is on the way after this movie. And like, no, there isn't like a Mario Odyssey 2 or a big update to Mario Maker or anything, that would be substantial like that. But you have Mario Wonder, which we already had its own direct. And when you think of how close that came out, and that was like its own 20-minute direct, so this was 40 minutes. So basically, within the span of a couple weeks, they have given us 60 minutes of here's what's coming out on Switch, and it includes 8 Mario games. That's insane. The museum thing was kind of a funny thing, because like they made announcements about it, but like they didn't show us any like, here's some shots of inside, and this is what like all the displays are going to be hyped. It was just like, production is going well, and we're on the, but for the amount of time they went showing the block reveal and doing all like that, a very cheesy Nintendo thing to do, to make that like this big reveal that like for 99% of the world, well, 99.99% of the world will never go to that museum. Well, 99% of the world will never even be to Japan, let alone go in that museum. To dedicate that to it was just kind of, that's a Nintendo thing to do. to just fluff the air. It's funny. All in all, I give this Direct a B+. A B+. There wasn't some, like... See, I say that F-Zero 99 is... I mean, I immediately downloaded that game. But there was no, like, breakout, like, oh my goodness, there's, they're releasing a new this, Metroid Prime 4, blah, 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 there was nothing like that. However, there was a lot of good things, a lot of, like, oh yeah, I want that remake, oh yeah, I want that Mario spin-off, oh, I want, a remaster of that, a remake of this, some new DLC for that. These are all good things, and I'm enjoying this stuff. A free online F-Zero 99, like, fun thing. Definitely give me that. But there was no, like, huge moment. And I feel like if it was just those things if they only did, like, one tactics game and one RPG and had shortened this down to 30 minutes, I think it would have bumped it up to an A or A-. But because it had that bloating and none of these things were a big enough hype to keep you hyped through the things that you aren't interested in, which, to be fair, there's people who are big into those games that could care less about Mario, that are like, oh my goodness, there were 8 Mario games in this thing. Like, what a waste of time. I'm sure there are those people who look at it from the other side. But to me, like, that is a very niche fandom inside of gaming. It's inside of kind of retro gaming, and then the niche of that specific thing. And I feel like when you put too many of them and they don't look visually different enough, a lot of them, to really stand out from one another, that, it's not like an old, like, Dragon Quest game and there's, like, the monsters, like some of these visual styles were very similar. So that just kind of brought it down, but still B+. It was a solid Direct. I really like it. It wasn't blow your socks off, but it wasn't a bad Direct. And it wasn't even like a middling Direct, like a C. It wasn't like, there were a few moments I liked, but for the most part it was a snooze. There was a lot of moments and a lot of things I liked. It just was too long. Too long for not enough big of a hype. And so the ebb and flow didn't feel perfect. But all in all, great Direct. Looking forward, the Switch is defying expectations. This system just keeps going. And I'm happy for it. I'd keep using my Switch for the next 5 years if Nintendo wanted to do that. So with that, what did everybody else think of the Direct? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will catch you all in the next video.